fighter jets worth of 6 aircraft carriers. That's roughly what separates the Indian Air Force from China's PLA Air Force on paper, a difference of over 2,000 aircraft. Yet, in 2026's global air power rankings, the Indian Air Force just beat China again for the 5th straight year since 2022. Officially, it's ranked 6th in the world, but strip away the US Navy, Army and Marine Corps sitting above it, and India's Air Force is actually 3rd among dedicated air forces globally, behind only America and Russia. So how can an Air Force ranked 6th in the world also be considered the 3rd most powerful? Why has the Indian Air Force beaten China's much larger Air Force for the 5th consecutive time in a key global air power assessment? How can India outscore a country that fields more fighters, more bombers and spends far more on defense? And if India's Air Force is performing far above expectations, why are military experts still calling it one of the country's biggest strategic vulnerabilities? The rankings tell one story, the reality on the ground tells another. Let's break this down. The 2026 World Directory of Modern Military Aircraft, or WDMMA, has released its Global Air Powers ranking, and the results put India's Air Force at 6th place worldwide. More importantly, it sits directly ahead of China's People's Liberation Army Air Force, ranked 7th. This marks the 5th time since 2022 that India has outranked China on this particular index. The US Air Force tops the list entirely with a dominant score of 242.9. Below it sit 3 more American forces, the US Navy, US Army and US Marine Corps, followed by Russia's Air Force. Once you exclude those non-Air Force US branches, India effectively holds 3rd position globally among dedicated air forces, trailing only the United States and Russia. Here's what makes this ranking different from a simple aircraft count. WDMMA uses something called the TruVal Rating, or TVR, a formula that weighs technological sophistication, logistic support, fleet diversity and both offensive and defensive capability, not just raw numbers. India scored 69.4 on this scale. China scored 63.8. That gap exists despite a massive numerical mismatch. China's Air Force operates over 3,700 aircraft. India operates roughly 1,716. China has more than double the fleet size and still comes out behind India on this index. The message here is blunt. Fleet size alone does not win this ranking. Balance, readiness and integration do. For context, Pakistan's Air Force sits far lower on the same index at 18th position with a TVR score of 46.3 despite its close defense cooperation with China. That gap alone tells you this ranking is not measuring alliances or political closeness. It's measuring actual capability fleet by fleet. The IAF's current modernization push explains part of the score. It's actively inducting indigenous LCA Tejas Mk1A fighters alongside French Rafale jets while upgrading its heavy fighter backbone through the Super Sukhoi program for the Su-30 MKI fleet. Behind that, the groundwork is already being laid for the Tejas Mk2 and the 5th generation Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft, or AMCA, along with aerial refueling tankers and airborne early warning platforms. Operational versatility matters too. Indian pilots routinely shift from high-altitude Himalayan operations to long-range maritime patrols across the Indian Ocean, a range of environments few air forces train across regularly. Add to that consistent participation in multinational exercises, which sharpens both tactics and interoperability with foreign air forces. Modern air power is not just about aircraft anymore. It's about how well everything talks to everything else. India's Integrated Air Command and Control System, or IACCS, ties together radar, sensors and command centers into a single networked picture. Layer in the Russian origin S-400 Triumph Air defense system along with a growing suite of indigenous missiles and electronic warfare systems, and you get an air power ecosystem that's harder to disrupt than its aircraft count alone suggests. None of this means the picture is perfect. India's fighter squadron strength remains below its own sanctioned requirement, and delays in engine deliveries for platforms like Tejas have repeatedly showed fleet expansion. Much of India's most advanced hardware, from jet engines to certain avionics, still depends on foreign suppliers, whether it's America's GE, France's Safran, or Russia's aircraft manufacturers. Rankings like these are analytical estimates, not predictors of what happens in an actual conflict. A strong TVR score does not fill an empty squadron, and it does not fix a stalled engine deal. India may have outperformed China in capability rankings, but Beijing continues expanding at remarkable speed. China is inducting more J-20 stealth fighters, developing 6th-generation aircraft concepts, expanding aerial refueling fleets, and investing heavily in artificial intelligence, drones, and space-based warfare. Quantity also has a quality of its own. China possesses the industrial capacity to replace losses far faster than India. That means today's ranking cannot guarantee tomorrow's advantage. Maintaining superiority will require sustained investment, faster manufacturing, and continued technological innovation. India's Air Force has quietly built something China's sheer numbers have not matched: a smaller, better integrated force that consistently outperforms expectations on paper. But rankings don't fly missions. Real squadrons do. The next real test for IAF is not beating China on an index. It's closing its squadron gap, fixing its engine dependency, and turning this rating into something that holds up not just in a formula but in the sky. The world now recognizes India's air power. The question is whether India can now build the numbers it matches its capability. Because in modern warfare, rankings earn headlines. Readiness wins battles.
If they had a nuclear weapon,
The old rules are breaking. Alliances are shifting.
Apologize again to the victims of the paedophile Jeffrey Epstein.
Wars are redrawing maps. Oil routes can shake economies overnight. One election in America can impact markets in Mumbai.
no tax on tips.
One move by China can alter the balance in Asia. One conflict in West Asia can hit every Indian household. This is no longer a distant story. This is our story. Your story. Because for the first time in decades, India is not watching from the sidelines. India is rising. India is negotiating. India is balancing rivals. India is building military strength. India is shaping trade routes. India is becoming central to the new global order. And yet, most global news is still told through someone else's lens. Washington's lens, Beijing's lens, London's lens. But where is India's lens? Where is the platform that explains the world from our perspective? Welcome to India's IACCS, a new destination for geopolitics, strategy, and power seen through India's eyes. From Neighborhood Watch to the biggest global stories that matter to you. Why tensions in the Taiwan Strait matter to India. How one move by China can affect India's security. What turmoil in Pakistan means for regional stability. How Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, and Bhutan shape India's neighborhood. Why oil choke points can hit your wallet. How wars abroad can reshape India's security. This is not noise. This is not shouting. This is not recycled headlines. This is sharp, intelligent storytelling. Daily explainers, war room analysis, strategic conversations. Because news is everywhere, but perspective is rare. And in the age of confusion, clarity is power. IACCS is for the audience that wants more than headlines. The axis of global power is shifting. India is at the center of that shift. It's time the world was explained accordingly. To understand the world through India's strategic lens. Subscribe now.